Hi guys, welcome to Alice Loves YouTube channel. Today I'm doing for you quite a full face of makeup. This is the makeup that I actually wore to Ascot on Thursday, to Ladies' Day. For any of you not in the UK, that's a big sort of horse racing event that was held in the UK. First time I've been, we had a fabulous day, laughed very hard. I seem to be covered in bruises. I have no idea where they've come from. We had a fabulous time. I thought I'd just do a video to sort of show you the makeup that I did and the little tips and tricks that I sort of did along the way to try and help my makeup last all day. Obviously, you know, it's only going to last to a certain extent, but there's certainly things you can do to prolong the life. So jump into my very bare face for you and I'll run through how I got this makeup look. So I think the thing to remember with any form of sort of long wearing makeup, so yeah, this is what I wore to Ascot, but you can wear this to a wedding, regatta, you know, any form of event where you're going to be wearing this from day till night. Is about layering and sort of sandwiching the products rather than one big thick layer, because that way you're going to get a lot more slip if you do one big thick layer. Whereas light layers and sort of sandwiched with cream and powder products will really help with the longevity. So spending a lot of time sort of on your prep and on your base is really important. So the first thing I started with was my Body Shop Skin Defence. Now this is SPF 50. I was going to be out all day in what we'd hoped would be the sun. We'd had glorious weather all week in the UK. I mean, we didn't get rain. But we didn't get glorious sun, but nevertheless you still want your SPF on. I wear it every day anyway, but a really nice thick layer. And I found out not too long ago that apparently it was some crazy high percentage, like 90% of people don't apply anywhere near enough suntan lotion and sort of SPF. So I think it needs to be something like 3mm worth for it to be enough. So don't skimp on it, get a good layer on. And then I went in with a few different priming products. So I used my Guerlain 24 karat gold primer, which I applied all over my face. This is to really help sort of smooth the skin out and help the makeup to go on a lot sort of more smoothly over the skin. It does help with the longevity of the makeup, but not massively, but I still just like to use it. I just think the way that the makeup applies on top of it is a lot nicer. So I put a layer of that on first, and then I also went in with my Nars Skin Smoothing Face Prep Base. Now this is the old packaging. It comes in a little tube now, which I have got as well, but I always use this one up first so I can finally get rid of it. I know it probably is past its expiry date because that packaging's very out of date, but it still works perfectly, never breaks me out, so I'm keeping using it. So for me, I just sort of push that into the pores around my nose, a little bit here between the eyes, and then I just take it up along the sort of round where I get some sort of fine lines around the eyes. So that's just for those areas to help fill the pores in. Now I did use another primer, but that was to add into my foundation to add some glow rather than all over the skin. So that was sort of the priming. And then I primed my eyes with my usual Nars Pro Prime Smudge Proof eyeshadow base, which is my favourite eyeshadow primer. So I'm just drawing this all over and then just blend that in with my finger. It's got no colour, so you don't need to worry about sort of being neat with it or, you know, anything like that. Then what I like to do once this is on is just apply a really neutral eyeshadow all the way over, just so that you don't get any darker colours just clinging while it's still slightly damp. So I did my eyes first. Although they weren't massively smoky, I didn't want any fall down, so you're going to have to stare at my bare face for a little bit longer. I'm just going to go in here with just a wash from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette, which is beautiful. I mean, this is the palette, it really is stunning. I'm just going to go in with this one here, which is called Tempera, and it's very neutral, sort of eye coloured, skin coloured shadow, which, as I say, it's not really to add any colour, it's just to even out where I've added the primer, just to stop any of the darker colours sticking. You don't want any of it sort of patching up. Whereas if this did cling slightly to one area more than the others, you wouldn't notice. I've just managed to get dark eyeshadow all over this brush by tapping my finger in the palette and then touching the brush with it, which is annoying. Okay, so as you can see, well, you probably can't see, but it's made very, very little difference. As I say, it's not designed to add any colour, just to smooth out the actual primer that I've put on. I'm then going to go in with my Nars number 14. They don't make this brush anymore. I'm going in with the burnt orange colour as a transition colour, sort of all across the socket. Now, the look I went for, the main product that I used is the By Terry Ombre Black Star in Misty Rock, and I wanted that as like a bit of a smoky, taupey coloured eye, but obviously wanted a little bit more depth and to take that a bit deeper. So we'll go in with the burnt orange colour. Oh, I've wiped dark eyeshadow under my eye off my fingers, so that's why my foundation, I do it second. So I like to do this with my eye open so that I can see where my socket is. I have ever so slightly hooded eyes, so if you were to go in and do this with them closed, when you open them, it then hides the shadow colour. So I do it while they're open so that I can see exactly where I want the colour to be, and I'm able to see that it's, you know, that you can still see it with your eye open. So I apply quite a messy layer and then go in with a clean blending brush and just blend that out. What I'll do is I'll obviously do the one eye and then whiz through the other one for you, so that you don't have to watch me do the same thing twice, otherwise we'll be here forever. So just soften out any of the edges. You don't want it to be, you know, a real block of colour, it's more just to add a bit of depth. So then, just got to add a tiny bit more here. I also added a little bit of Venetian red and red ochre, slightly below. So as you can see, when my eye is open, this is quite a really blown out effect. So it's quite a bit higher than my crease bone, but also it goes quite a little bit lower. And I'm just going to apply the reddy colour more sort of in the socket, so that you sort of only get the look when you're sort of looking down. So it's not a colour that you'll see loads of, and I'm just literally dabbing a little bit of each colour, mixing them together, tapping off the excess and taking that slightly lower, which just adds a little bit more depth to it. It's not very visibly red or pink, massively so, but it just really adds a bit of a darker colour, and then again really blend that out into the orangey colour so that you get that blown out effect. Excuse the state of my brushes, I've had to just spot clean them, because obviously if I'd fully washed them then they'd be wet for filming this video, so I've had to just give them a bit of a clean with my antibacterial spray, but it means they're not as clean as I would like. But I've had quite a busy week. I actually went to London to see Celine Dion earlier on in the week, and then obviously had Ascot on Thursday for Ladies' Day, so it's been quite a busy week for me. Okay, so there is the sort of darker socket colour blended into the burnt orange. Just going to add a tiny bit more of the burnt orange just above this colour, and then just the tiniest little bit. This may have just been really picky now, but I just want to make sure that you can still see the sort of burnt orange colour above. So it's just keep going back basically until you get the look that you're happy with. I like to take the smoky colour fairly high up the lid. Okay, and then I'm going to go in with the By Terry, which is just one of my favourite ever eye products, and it's so, you only need a tiny bit. Just going to draw that all over the lid, but I'm going to keep it quite close to the lash line because I will blend it out with the blending brush, which will take it quite a bit higher. So I'm going to go back with the same blending brush and just blend that colour out at the edges. You can hear some crazy noise. It's because it's still pretty warm even though it's not that sunny here. So I have got windows open and the neighbours are putting out all their recycling ready for tomorrow, just as I started filming. Thanks very much for that. So sorry if you can hear that in the background. Okay, so I'm also going to take the same by Terry Misty Rock under the eye. I'm going to take that quite low and again blend that out, and I'm also going to take a bit of the pink and I'm just blending it out with a Lottie London angled little brush, which might seem a strange choice, but I don't want to take it loads lower than I've already drawn it. So I'm just doing that, and then I'm going to go in with some of the Venetian red and a little bit of the burnt orange on the brush at the same time and take that really close, sort of almost on the waterline. Now at this stage obviously it will look really quite messy. You have to trust me that when you actually sort of, you know, add your concealer and foundation, it just really does perfect it and make it look a lot more like you have in your head, and at this stage it always looks relatively messy. But all of these edges here where they're really too sort of blended out, it will be neatened up with foundation, which will give it a neater edge. I need a little bit more of the red ochre and Venetian red, a tiny bit just in this corner here. Blend that out again. So that's eye number one. As I say, it doesn't look great at the moment. I will neaten up all these edges, and when you add your foundation it looks completely different, but I'll do eye number two and then I'll come back. So both eyes are done, and all I've done is added my corner lashes and some bottom mascara as well, and then obviously done the other eye, but I haven't done anything else to the shadow. So now I'm going to go in with my base. So obviously we've already done the primer, so this is actually Becca's, is it called Backlight priming filter, and this is a really glowy primer. So I've put one pump of that, and I chose to use Nars Sheer Glow, but with just a little bit of the Giorgio Armani Power fabric. Now this I don't like on its own. I did do a full review on it, and you know, it did actually impress me on the day when I did the review, but it just doesn't make my skin look the way I love it. It's too matte for me. So what I'm adding is a little bit of the Nars Sheer Glow, which I love, a little bit of the Power fabric, because the Power fabric, 1 minute, lasts really well. And obviously again, it's all about wanting your makeup to last and stay and still look just as nice as, you know, when you first did it by the time you leave. And I'm just mixing that all together on the back of my hand. I'm just going to put a little bit, dot that all over, and take, this is my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. It's normally orange, this is just because it was a limited edition one that they did around Easter time. And I wish that they'd bring out these colours permanently, because I don't really love the orange. I know it doesn't really matter, but I much prefer the pink and purple ones that came in this sort of limited edition set, so I always reach for those and leave my orange ones unused. And I'm just really working it into the skin with quite a light layer. So if you look from what I did, there's still a lot left on the back of my hand, which I'll probably come back and build up. As I say, it's about just light layers, getting that coverage and really working it in and sandwiching it so that it lasts lasts all day. So I'm working right back to the hairline. I did actually have my hair put up by a hairdresser on the day. Obviously not like this in a crazy top knot. And I'm not going to be able to recreate anything remotely similar to what she did for me. So I'll probably just leave it tied back at the end so that you can see makeup. So I'm just going back in with a little bit more, just in the areas that I think you can still see the redness. And I'm just taking the sort of sharp edge of the Beauty Blender and creating a little bit of a sharper line around the eye in an upward and backward direction so that it fans out the shape of the eye to sort of elongate them, rather than the product, you don't want it blending down because that will pull the eye shape down. So I'm just going to pull the hair back here to get right into the side of the head. Right, so that I would say is now enough for me with the foundation. If I hadn't have put that Becca Backlight priming filter in, what I probably would have found is that even with the Nars Sheer Glow, that the Giorgio Armani just mattes down my face just a little bit too much. And just by adding that little bit of Becca in there, it still just kept the glow. I mean, it's still a lot more matte than what I would normally wear, but I do feel like it's still got a little bit of a glow. And obviously you're out in the sun, your natural oils on the face will show through. So that's just the foundation done. So I'm going in with my Tarte CC under eye colour corrector, the Coloured Clay CC under eye corrector, to try and cancel out these dark circles. I'm not sure that anything will actually cover them up at the moment, they're particularly dark, but I'll do my best. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. Now I'm only going to apply a little bit of this because it is really, you know, strong stuff. And then I'm going to blend it out. I would normally do quite a defined V, but I just find if I do that with the Shape Tape that it's just too thick and cakey. So I will sort of still create that shape, but I'm going to blend this out rather than actually draw it on. I'll have to go back and touch up the lower lash line because obviously some of my concealer will have covered up that, but we'll take it right under. Help bring some brightness under these very dark eyes of mine. In all fairness, I always suffer with dark circles. I feel like that is my #1 skincare concern. I've created a bit of a sort of highlighted look under the eye, and then I'm going to take the Kevyn Aucoin, and this is the Creamy Glow Duo #4 Sculpting, which is medium and candlelight. So you get a large highlighter there and a small cream contour. And I'm just going to, on my ring finger, just lightly draw out, just ever so slightly higher than where my natural sculpt will be, because I will blend it slightly down with the Beauty Blender. So draw that on with my finger ever so lightly, and then I'm just going to take the pointy end of the Beauty Blender and blend that out. Now in real life, if you go in with a really dark contour, especially when you're out in the daylight all day, it's going to be very noticeable. So you know, you only want something subtle. If you can just see there, it's just added a slight little bit of depth under the cheekbones, but nothing crazy. I'm then going to do over the top, I told you this would be layers, this is the Becca Moonstone Cream Highlighter, and I do really like this highlighter, but it's not enough on its own for this type of event, but I always like to put a little bit, just draw it on and then just blend it out again with the beauty blender, and it just starts layering a bit of a glow, which I will then go over and set with just the leftovers, and I'll set with a powder highlighter. So I've just noticed on the side of my face that I've got a little bit of redness still showing through. So I'm just using my Maybelline Superstay Better Skin concealer for that, because this is too light for the rest of my face. It would really highlight it rather than cover it up. So I'm just going to pop a bit on there, a little bit on the chin. I think actually that might be the only place that needs a bit of coverage. So again, backing, I'm going to use this end because I've just put highlighter on this side, and what I don't want to do again is highlight redness, and just work that in. Okay, great. So now I'm going to take my Bare Minerals loose powder. Now this is actually a foundation in its own right, but I like to use just a little bit of this on a flat kabuki, and rather than the circular motions they recommend if you were to use this as a foundation, I just gently sort of stipple it in as a powder, but it obviously adds a little bit of extra coverage as well because it is officially a mineral foundation. So I'm just using the little bit that's left in the lid. I'm taking the brush in circular motions, tapping off the excess, and as I say, I'm just going to really gently just dab that over, so where I want setting really. And then I will take, so ideally I'd want my chin setting, so either side of the nose, the centre of the forehead, and then I just take what's left round just the rest of the face, because you still don't want your foundation breaking off and breaking down when you're out all day, but obviously you don't want to look super matte either. So just a little bit dabbed in. Again, the idea there really is that you're not going to really notice the difference. It's just layering it, setting it, and adding another little bit of coverage. That's actually amazing as a concealer. If you were to just take a little bit of that Bare Minerals on a concealer brush and actually pinpoint conceal with it, it's got amazing coverage. And now I'm going to go in with my favourite Maxfactor bronzer, number 5 I think it is, yeah, light gold. I'm going to take it on an angled brush first, and I'm just going to actually take it over the top of where I've just done the cream contour, just to add a little bit extra definition. And help set that cream contour, which hopefully you can see. So don't take your contour too far down, or you're going to start dragging your face down, and that'll aid you. You just want it, towards the back part of your face. Then with a larger brush, this is the Makeup Revolution Rose Gold brush that I love. I'm just going to take a light dusting. Now I did have quite well, not super dark, it wasn't sort of spray tan dark, but I had gone in with the fake tan, as obviously I'd got legs and arms out on show, so I did go darker than this on the day with my makeup, but obviously I don't have it on now, so it really won't match my neck if I go too dark. So I'll take some of this a little bit of the way down my neck as well, to try and help balance it out. Otherwise I'm going to look a little bit crazy. So I'm only going to take the tiniest little bit over the nose. I don't want where I've highlighted with the concealer to be so light that it's really obviously highlighted, but I don't want to take away the highlight, so just a tiny bit over the bridge of the nose. Right, now time to do brows, now that I've got all the base sort of I think from here, I'm just going to take a tiny bit to the eyes as well, so that they don't look too white. And I'm going to go in with my trusty YSL pink powder, And as always, this is just to set under the eyes. Now, I've realised that I put my concealer on a little while ago, so what I will do first is just check that there's no creasing that's formed under the eye, which there is. So I'll take the bottom bit of the Beauty Blender and really push those creases away, otherwise you're going to set them in place all day. And then take the pink powder under the eyes to set and really highlight under the eye area. Now I'm going to quickly get my liner brush and go back in on the colours that I'd already applied, so the red ochre and the burnt orange, and just really deepen that up again, because obviously with all the powder and concealer it's brushed some of it away, which we don't want. I'm going to just do a little bit extra layer concealer now, because that's now got obviously the powder over the top of it. I think I might say concealer, I mean mascara if I said concealer. Okay, so I've done my brows before on camera and it's boring and quite long for you, so I'll quickly put my brows in and then I'll come back. So the brows are done. I've just filled them in like normal. The only thing I've done that's maybe a little bit extra to what I've done on camera before is taken, I'll put the brush now. Really, I'm just trying to find it. Oh, here it is. What do they call it? A smudger. So it's a really sort of very thin, slightly curved, but more or less a straight edge brush with a very little bit of concealer on. And I've just taken that under the actual brow itself, just to tidy up if any of the you know, colours sort of from the brow pomade has gone a bit low, or if any of the shadow has smudged a bit too high, so it's just created that sort of clean line that you can see along the top. And then what I'm also going to do is on this little MAC 217 is just take a little bit of highlighter, and I'm just going to sort of gently draw that under just the tail end of the brow, just to create a little highlight there. And then I'm also going to take, again, all about the layering at every stage. This is the L'Oreal Brow Artist Pumper, and it's just got this tiny little brush head. And I wipe quite a lot of the excess off, but it's meant to just give a bit of volume to your brows and help set them in place. So I'm going to gently brush that through in sort of an upwards motion. Keep all those brows in place, and you can see it just adds a bit of extra sort of colour to them as well. And there'll still be enough on there to just go straight in to the other brow. There we go. Now that should help stop them moving, help the colour stop slipping, and just make them look a little bit fuller. Also means you can actually see the hair, so it makes them look a little bit more natural. Then going to take the Bronze Goddess from Estee Lauder. I've talked about this before, it's stunning, it's limited edition. I think you might still be able to get it in store. I'm taking it on my MAC fan brush, and I'm just going to hit the high points of my cheeks. So over the top really of where I've already put the liquid highlight. Now I've got a bit of texture on this side of my face that I need to deal with this evening, so that is going to highlight it, but that is, I suppose, the nature of a highlighter. Just taking it in a slight sort of C shape to join up around the eye, and then a little bit down the centre of the nose, and a little bit on the cupid's bow. I also did, I don't actually know if they'll be in shot, but I just did my highlighter on my shoulders as well, as I mentioned in one of my other videos how I like to do, especially in the summertime, just because my shoulders were on show in the dress that I was wearing, and it's just nice to sort of catch the light and look a little bit more glowy. And then for blusher, I went in with quite a neutral blusher, as my dress was white, black and blue. My eyes were obviously quite a sort of smoky eye. So I used this Marc Jacobs Air Blush in Flesh and Fantasy, and mixed just between the darker colour and the lighter colour, and just took that on the apples of the cheek and then brushed that backwards. And I did the same, obviously I did highlighter before. I've mentioned before that I used to always put highlighter on last, but I think in particular when you're going to be out in the daylight, you can really see sometimes where you've highlighted. And as much as that's lovely, it can look very fake. So in going in with blusher over the top, you can still see that highlight, but it just softens it. So hopefully you can still see there that highlight, but it's just not quite as bright and in your face. Then for lips, I used 3 products, again layering. So I went in with lip liner first in Whirl from MAC, then the Kat Von D liquid lip in Bow and Arrow, and then my trusty favourite Barbara, which I've got hardly any left now, from Nars Audacious. So let's quickly get my lips on for you. Now I normally take my lip liner all over the lips, but because I'm using a liquid lip, this really does stain and does not budge. So there's no need to do that. Really love the formula of this Kat Von D liquid lip. I only own this and one other, and I need to get some more. They're brilliant. So just sort of trying to let that dry down a little bit, and you can see it is quite dark. Now this is a little bit lighter, so I just take that over the top. Helps add a bit of moisture to the lips and make them look a little bit dewier. Obviously a matte lipstick's quite dry, and especially for all day. And that was my finished look. The only thing I did do after this was set my face with a setting spray. I'm allergic to quite a lot of the setting sprays. I don't know if it's alcohol in them or what, but there's a few that I can get on board with. So the one that I used was the Tatcha Dewy Luminous Skin blah blah blah, whatever it's called. But obviously that doesn't really prolong the life of your makeup, but I do think it just gives it a gorgeous glow and helps sort of bring everything back to life. I have ordered a couple online that I'm hoping I really like and can tell you about, and I don't have an allergic reaction to, but I haven't used them yet, so I'll let you know about that. And that's sort of the finished look. As I say, I obviously had a lovely dress, fascinator, hair done, but I'm not going to be able to do that for you myself. Hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, please leave them down below, and yeah, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks guys, bye.